Welcome to Vegan Finds. We're calling this the Crunchwrap Interrupted Edition. The battery, once again, died on the mic, so at least I noticed this time before going too far. So in my pan, I chopped up a half a white onion, started sauteing it, and then I added some of the Trader Joe's beefless ground. And to this, I'm going to add one of our favorite taco seasonings, which is it's a good question. It's what I would call it's accidentally vegan because it doesn't promote itself as vegan, but it is the Frontera Texas Original Taco Skillet Sauce. One of the nice things is that it is gluten-free. The Frontera Grill is a famous Mexican restaurant. If you're not familiar with it, the owner is Rick Bayless. He is like the Mexican equivalent of Julia Child in the United States. So we're going to add that to our pan. Let that simmer down. Simmer down now. And we're going to cook that up. And this is going to be the protein base of our meal. So for those of you who aren't familiar with a Crunchwrap, our dogs are already excited. They heard Crunchwrap. They think they're getting some of this. It's a tortilla that's filled with all sorts of good stuff, with a crunchy layer in the center, wrapped up, and then basically pan seared to get it nice and toasty on both sides. So our meat looks pretty well done here, and I'm now going to move on to making some cheese sauce that's going to go with this. My wife has already made the guacamole, so we're ahead of the game. Avocados were on sale, so she made it from scratch, which is nice. And I'll be back in a second. Okay, so into my food processor, I've got some raw cashews, and I'm adding half a cup of water. Add 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. That's going to give it a cheesy flavor. Now, if you have a Vitamix or a Ninja blender, you don't need to soak the cashews. Those blenders are strong enough to do it without soaking. I actually soak these for a little bit just to be on the safe side because I can't find the lid to my blender. So I'm working with the food processor, and just to be on the safe side, I soak these. I'm going to add a little bit of jalapeno to this to give it a little zip, and off to the food processor it will go. Okay, so I've added the jalapeno. I'm going to start out with a little because I have no idea how hot they are, and it's pretty hot. I just tested it out on my finger. It's a bit spicy, so you want to do this to taste. I'm going to add a little bit of turmeric to this just to give it a more of a cheesy color, and then I'm going to blend it, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I didn't realize I am out of turmeric, but I added a little bit of taco seasoning, some dry taco seasoning to this. I'm going to blend it up, and we are almost ready to start putting these babies together. Okay, so we are ready to start assembling our little crunch wraps. And here's our wrap. And what we're using are the brown rice tortillas from Food for Life. Basically, we're going to take some of our meat. Now, you don't want to overfill these. I'm actually going to use a tortilla as a guide. This is going to be our crunch portion. So you don't want to go outside of the circle here. Otherwise, it's going to become a big old mess. So I'm going to spread a little bit more of the meat here. You also don't want to pile it too high because you got to be able to wrap this thing up and close it. Otherwise, it won't work. At least not too well. Now, if you don't want to use a tostada for your crunch, you could use nacho chips. You could use your favorite, anything, you know, that will lend a crunch to it. You could put potato chips. Why not? This is all about you and all about what you like. I'm just giving you a basis for which to operate from. So we're going to layer that. I'm going to start adding the other layers. Okay, so next we're going to layer on some of the queso. It's nice and spicy. Made this a little bit thick. Oops. Got some over here and over here. That's all right. Just put a little bit more. Spread it out. There we go. Now we're going to put the crunch layer on. Give it a good pat. We are going to add some refried beans to this because my wife loves refried beans. You know what? I'm going to do this the easy way, which is to bean this baby up. I'm going to hold it. These can be a little bit on the fragile side. Now you could use black beans that you've made. Doesn't have to be refried beans. This doesn't have to be fake ground beef on the bottom. Could be tofu. Could be tempeh. Could be whatever. Could be beans. You know, whatever you like. Again, we don't judge here. Okay. Gonna add guacamole. Who doesn't like guacamole? Actually, when I first thought about guacamole, I was like, ooh, yeesh. Not for me, baby. But once I actually had it, and I had it in Mexico first, so that was probably the right way to do it, I went, holy crow, this stuff is delicious. And now we always judge whatever restaurant we go to by the guacamole they make. If the guacamole is bad, we typically don't order too much from it. But you know, if it's good, then we know we're in a pretty good spot. So that's the next layer. Okay, so I've added a little bit of cabbage to this. And now we're adding our safety net here. And now it's time to do the final wrap up, which will be like so. I think my wife should be doing this. She'd be way better at it than me, but this is number one. And I'm just going to flip that over. And we are going to fry this bad boy up right now so she can eat and I can still live, because you would not like her when she's hangry, trust me. So I'm going to break out the skillet and we're going to fry this bad boy up. Okay, so into my pan I've added a little bit of avocado oil. If you've watched any of our videos, you'll know that I really like avocado oil. It's got a much higher smoking point than olive oil. I don't recommend cooking really with olive oil. It basically defeats the purpose of using olive oil. So the pan is warming up. Once the pan is ready, I will add our little crunch wrap to it. Okay, so we've got our crunch wrap cooking here. We want it to be brown and crispy. I'm kind of pressing it down. You may want to do this with a spatula. I don't have one handy, but I will get one because I ain't flipping this with my bare hands. But I've done this enough times that if I burn my fingers, I burn my fingers. I don't want you to burn your fingers. Don't do this at home. Okay, so this bad boy is just about ready to flip. Alright, we're going to flip it. Oh, look at that. That's exactly what we want. Nice, crispy, crunchy. I think if my wife were here, she would be smacking me because she doesn't like weird words. She doesn't like descriptive food words like crispy and crunchy. I'm not sure why. Maybe because it reminds her of people eating, and she doesn't like the way people eat. At least not the sounds that people make. If I eat potato chips or nacho chips around her, holy cow. I'm taking my life into my own hands there. Alright, let's see what we got. I'm going to tilt this up a little bit. Almost. Give it a press. Oh yeah. Love the sizzle. They say sell the sizzle, not the cauliflower steak. That's what you're selling. You're selling the sizzle, baby. Your kids will thank you. They're going to be like, Mommy, Daddy, this Gordita, or whatever the heck they call it over there, is delicious. And you're going to know that this was way healthier than anything that they could have ever gotten from a fast food restaurant. So I'm going to plate this bad boy up. I'm going to cut it open. And I'm going to send it off to my wife. Look at those layers of goodness. You can't beat that. Let me tell you, folks. You're not going to get this at a restaurant, you know, your fast food restaurant or any place like that. I'm going to do the final plating so my recovering wife can eat. And I'll be back. Okay, so there is the final product. Ooh. We got some avocado salsa with a little bit of fire roasted tomatoes in there. So if you like these videos, please click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, and give us a thumbs up. This is our take on the crunch wrap. I'm going to make my own. I'll even show you how I make mine.
Let's try this, Rich.
Okay, so here we go with mine. I'm going to start with a little bit of the meat. My dog is all hyper excited. He's following my wife around. She had to lock herself up, hide away so he doesn't harass her. So I got some meat on there. Gonna add the queso. So it looks pretty much the same. Now here's where I'm gonna deviate. So I had some leftover rice from last night that I used as part of my making. Oh, see that? This is why you don't want to overstuff. Case in point, I pre-guacced it, softened it up, and broke it. So that's all right. As Forrest Gump would say, it happens. I am going to add some fire roasted tomatoes to mine. I'm going to skip the beans for now. Going to add some of the pickled cabbage. And now I'm going to top mine and wrap it. Okay, I'm topping it. Going to give it a good squeeze down. These tomatoes are a bit juicy. And now it's time to wrap it up. See, I always make my wife's ones first because she gets the effed up ones. I learned from my mistakes. All right. Beautiful. Just going to give it a good squeeze. Flip it over. Woo. And now it's time to turn on our pan again. I'm going to get the can of tomatoes out of the way there. So I'm going to let this bad boy heat up again. And I'm going to fire up the second Gordita. Or I should just say Crunchwrap because I don't want to keep saying Gordita. I don't even know what a Gordita is. I just like saying it. It sounds good. So I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so I got my Crunchwrap going. Now, just so you know that these wrappers that we're using are gluten-free. So if you're not gluten-free, you can use a flour tortilla. It'll be a lot easier to handle. As I pointed out, these are made out of rice. But there are other brands out there that are made from other things. Effin makes a wrap as well. Unfortunately, they were out, and I had to scramble. But you know, again, the wraps that do it according to your dietary needs. You don't have to follow exactly what we're doing. These are to our dietary needs. All right, time for the flip. All right. Looking good, looking good. Also, if you don't want to use oil and you want to use vegan butter, go right ahead. The inside tortillas are corn, because again, we're gluten-free, and that's what works best. So that is what we do. And we shall be back when this is all done, and I will show you my final plated product, and then you can leave. You will be dismissed. Okay, so there you have it. We got the Crunchwrap, we got some avocado salsa, a little bit of fire roasted tomatoes inside that, and we are ready to eat. So, once again, if you like these videos, please click the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell so you'll know when we come out with new videos, and we do quite a few. They come out in bunches, so don't be surprised if they're like 3 or 4 in a row and then a lag for a week. Leave a comment and give us a thumbs up. Thanks again, and we'll be back with more.